from the Ohio State University's Noble Gas Laboratory. I'm going to show you now how we take a copper tube sample from a producing gas well. Obviously, we're not near a proximity to an actual producing gas well, so I'm going to simulate that using compressed air tank. Alright, to start, we're going to show you what tools we need in order to collect the copper tube sample. The first are a 1/2 inch crescent wrench and a 1/2 inch socket wrench, 2 adjustable wrenches, 2 brass refrigeration clamps, and 2 Swagelok brand 3/8 inch OD nut and ferrule sets. So at the top here we have our actual copper tube and valve setup. So we have the upstream end, which is a 3/8 inch OD Swagelok to National Pipe thread fitting adapter. Depending on the wellhead, the actual size of the pipe thread that you need will vary. For this one I'm using 1/2 inch MPT. And then we have our 3/8 inch OD stainless steel tubing connected to 3/8 inch Swagelok plug valves. In the middle we have our copper tube, and then finally our downstream end. So real quick, we're going to zoom in on the Swagelok nut and ferrule sets. We take the cap off. Inside is the front and back ferrule. The front is the conical piece, while the back is the thinner piece, which has a lip. It's important to get these oriented properly in order to get your seal when you attach it to the valve. So I'm going to show you real quick. If we slide the nut on first, the back ferrule and the front ferrule, how this should look prior to attaching with adjustable wrenches to the valve. So now I'm going to take the other nut and ferrule set and put it on the copper tube, and then attach the copper tube to the valves using the adjustable wrenches. We'll probably jump ahead and then you'll see what it looks like after we're done. Okay, so now I've attached the copper tube to the Swagelok valve set, and I've also gone ahead and attached the upstream end of the stainless steel tubing to the MPT adapter, and attach the adapter to our simulated wellhead. And I'm going to now open the valve to let the gas flow through. You should be able to hear it, you can feel it come out. And we're going to now let at least 50 volumes of sample flow through our copper tube setup, which with producing gas wells should not take very long at all. During this time, we also want to exercise the valve to try to reduce any buildup of air that could then contaminate our sample. So we just open and close a couple times, the front, the downstream end, the upstream end, let it flow through some more. And then finally, when we are ready to collect our sample, we want to make sure that we close the downstream end first, then the upstream end, and from there our sample is collected. I'll turn off the compressed air, and we can detach the copper tube setup in order to then clamp the copper tube and then safely store our sample. Now, to be careful, we want to make sure that we don't reopen any of these two valves prior to clamping the copper tube. Alright, now that our sample is detached from the producing gas well, we can put the clamps on and secure the sample. So in order to do that, we take our refrigeration clamp, we take the nuts off of the bolts and the washers. And when we place the clamp over the copper tube, we want to leave a gap probably about 1 inch from the end of the copper tube until where the clamp is. That way we don't damage the end, which could make it difficult for us to attach to our vacuum system during analysis. So we're going to center the clamp over the copper tube. That way we don't potentially damage it by getting the side blocks interfered with. First we're going to finger tight. It should be relatively secure at that point. And then we're using the 1/2 inch crescent wrench and the 1/2 inch socket wrench, we're going to tighten. So what we want to do is alternate each nut after a few rotations to get an even crimp, like so. So I've gone and skipped ahead a little bit. I finished putting on the first clamp, and what I want to show you is the side of the clamp will tell you how close or how complete the crimp has become. So basically these two blocks are either very close to or are touching, And based on the diameter of the refrigeration clamp, the outer diameter of the copper tubing, and the thickness of the copper tubing, that'll tell us that this is actually a full crimp. So I've gone ahead and put the second clamp on, and then also detached the copper tube from the valve set. And then the final step is to attach the caps, which we do with the adjustable wrenches again. Okay, I've attached the two brass caps. So this is our final copper tube sample that has now been collected and secured and ready to be labeled.